Hello everyone! Our lesson for this video is all about the subject art appreciation. So dito we're going to talk about the introduction wherein we're going to talk about the nature, the meaning, the importance of the art, and also how we are going to appreciate art in different aspects. So dito, let us talk about first the introduction. So, what art is all about? So, ano ba talaga yung pinakang pinupunto ng pag-aaral ng art? Or ano ba yung reason? And at the same time, how this art create in our mind? Something like that. And art is often associated with the visual arts, paintings, sculpture, but in modern sense, it is extended to other creative and expressive human activities, which include even those that employ digital and highly technical creative works like cinema and photography. As you can see, pagdating sa term na art, we are always, in other words, what comes in our mind first is paintings, colors, sculpture, mosaic, something like that. Yun yung unang pumapasok sa atin kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng or nadidinig natin yung salitang art, isn't it? So, dito, specifically speaking, ang art is all about paintings, sculpture. Yun yung literally or common na alam natin pagdating sa term na art. But that is a classical ideas or classic ideas of the term art. Kasi in our modern society today, or in our generation today, there is an extended ideas and additional ideas about the true meaning or about the true information of the art. So nowadays kasi, anything that's creative and expressive human activities can be considered as an art. And as of today, as of our generation today, the highly technical creative works, like for example the cinema and photography, like what on the PowerPoint here, and the digital aspect, ano po, like for example, the graphics, ano po, this is already part of the art today. Ano po, kung dati, more on tayo sa cave paintings, drawings, mga something like that. So, yung mga classic artworks na ginagawa ng ating mga artists is, sa panahon natin ngayon, mas nadagdagan ng mas magandang creative and imaginative artworks. Ano po? And according to our reference, all artworks are products of creative and imaginative character of human beings. So anything that is made up of our imaginative mind and creative mind can be part or can be considered as an artwork. In layman's term nga, they consider that everything that is under the sun is considerable that part of the art. Even yung simpleng pag-put up natin ng makeup sa mga babae o yung sa tuwing lalabas tayo ng bahay na we are looking for ourselves or we are engaging ourselves na to become more comfortable and representable or kaaya-aya sa mata ng ibang tao is simply you're engaging yourself into art. And then dito, this is a kind of characteristic which is absent from all other living characters. Only human can create an imaginative and creative way of thinking. Ano po? So there's a lot of aspect that we have to consider pagdating sa art nowadays. Okay, so another topic is the etymology. Dito sa etymology, there's a lot of scholars or individuals that gave their own meaning of the term art. So dito, there's a lot of various way how they define the meaning of the art. Okay, so una na dito na nagbigay ng definition natin which is very common na meaning. Ano po? So according to Stolas, J.V. Stolas, art is derived rather from the Latin word which is ars, meaning ability or skill. So according to Stolas, when we say art, it is deals with our ability and skills, and at the same time, it is a kind of talent for every characteristic that employing or using their ability to, like for example, ability to paint, ability to create and sculpture, something like that. And another terminologies or another definition from Tan. According to him, art is taken from the Italian word artist. So which means it is a kind of craftsmanship, skill, mastery of form, inventiveness, and association that exists between form and ideas, between material and technique. According to Tan, specific artwork is always a combination of a material, and when you put up some techniques and mediums, like for example the strategies that an artist using to his an artwork considered as an art, or some of his example here is making a house. Ano po yung craftsmanship is an example of an art. Ano po, and then dito it is also considerable as a skill and ability of a specific characteristic. And another definition we have from Zulueta. According to Zulueta, excuse me, according to Zulueta, art is a product of humans or man's need to express himself. So dito, according to Zulueta, when we say art or the term art, it always involves the expressions and emotion of the artist or the man that using or doing a specific artwork. Ano po? Kasi mapapansin nyo, there's a lot of artworks na makikita natin or nagkakaroon ng communications. Through that communication, nalalaman natin kung ano yung kanilang emotions during na ginagawa nila itong ganitong klaseng artwork. Something like that. That they employs what was their feeling while doing those kind of artwork. And another definition came from Sanchez. According to him, art is concerned itself with the communication of certain ideas and feelings by means of sensus medium, color, sound, bronze, marble, and words, and also the film. So, um, do sa previous natin, there is an expression and emotion involved. According to Sanchez, the root word is communication. Art is one of the way of every artist to provide or to have a communication to, like for example, to the viewers, to the readers, ano po, sa lahat na nakakakita ng artwork na ginagawa nila. There's always a specific communication na nagaganap. Hindi nga lang siya mouth-to-mouth communication or let's say word-to-word communication, but the meaning of the artwork can be one of the way to serve the communication or of the expression of the artist from his artwork. And another definition which just came from Plato. According to Plato, art is that which brings life in harmony with the beauty of the world. So sabi ko nga kanina, this is one of the quotation na nanggaling din po kay Plato na everything that is under the sun is part of the art. Okay, so dito, because of art, it gives color. It gives meaning in our world. Ano po? So through the word art or through the essence of having art, our world is meaningful. Ano po? That is a kind of according to Plato. And we have also the definition from John Dewey. According to John Dewey, art is an attitude of spirit. It is a kind of state of mind, one which demands for its own satisfaction and fulfilling a shaping of matter to new or more significant form. So some of the artists doing their artwork to simply express their feelings and their emotions also. And through that kind of doing, yung mga ginagawa nila ganong klaseng pamamaraan na they're using their artworks to express their emotions, their feelings, nakaka-receive sila ng satisfaction. And at the same time, it is a kind of fulfillment for them na kahit sa ganong paraan, through their artworks, through their hands, ano po, nagkakaroon sila ng fulfillment and nare-relax yung kanilang mind pagdating sa ganitong klase ng gawain kasi they are become satisfied. Another definition is came from Panizo and Ruscha. According to them naman, art is a skillful arrangement of composition of some common but significant qualities of nature, such as colors, sounds, lines, movement, words, stones, wood, and etc. And then, according to them, it is to express human feelings, emotions, or thoughts in perfect, meaningful, and enjoyable way. So this is a kind of meaning that is general na yung inaano niya, that involves our emotions and expressions of every creative and imaginative mind of every artist. Ano po? So those are the definition na binigay sa atin ng iba't ibang individuals. But from the definitions I've gave to you, there is a common or four common essentials of art. So, kumbaga, ito na yung pinakang nabuo pagdating sa mga definition na yon na pinakang essential definition of the term art. So, art is must be man-made. It always be a man-made. And pangalawa, art must be a creative, not imitative. And pangatlo, art must be benefit and satisfy man and make use of art in a practical life through artistic principles, taste, and skill. So, through art kasi, nagkakaroon tayo, sabi nga kanina doon, sa isang definition, which is came from, which definition it is? Again? Which is came from John Dewey. So, nagkakaroon ng satisfaction pagdating sa mga artworks. And then the last one is, it expressed through a certain medium or material by which the artist communicates himself to his fellows. So dito, um, this is very important, one of the important aspect pagdating sa artwork. To know especially the strategies and techniques of every artist on how they are going to give their communications to other person, or like for example to their fellows, to their viewers, let's say viewers, readers, if that is a kind of literature, something like that, ano po. Okay, so that is the nature of art or the etymology of art according to different individuals. Now let's have the subjects of art. So when we say subject, um, in any art form, always remember that there is always a subject. So, hindi mabubuo ang isang artwork without its subject. But we have the two kinds of subject. So, dito, when we say subject kasi, it serves as the foundation of the creation of the work of art. Hindi ka basta-basta makakagawa o makakaisip ng isang specific na genre mo, or let's say kung ano yung gusto mong gawin without your subject. Ano po? Kasi yung subject, it is the very foundation of your artwork. Dito makikita yung kagandahan and especially yung kagandahan ng artwork na meron ka. Okay, so we have two types of subject of art. We have representational or the objective art na tinatawag. And we also have non-representational, which is the subjective or non-objective art. So when we say representational or objective art, it is a kind of artwork that depict something easily recognized by most people. Ano po? So like for example, we have paintings, sculpture, graphic arts, literature, and theater. So commonly, generally, they are classified as representational. Pero may mga ibang paintings and sculpture po na walang subject kasi ito na yung mga tinatawag nating abstract. Kumbaga, sa representational or object art, makikita mo agad kung ano yung pinapakita ng artwork. So like for example, painting of Madonna. So these are the example. Ano pa? So dito, madidepict mo na agad or malalaman mo na agad kung ano yung pinupunto ng painting. Ano po? So, the melodic and innocent posture of a woman, something like that. And another thing, this one, the serenity of a specific place. So kung mapapansin nyo, sa representational artwork or representational art, andun na agad yung binibigay na meaning. Makikita mo na agad yung relevance. And at the same time, the importance of the artwork is also already given. Unlike ng sinasabi natin na non-representational artwork or non-representational arts. So these are the artworks that have no resemblance to any real subject. So, kumbaga, there is no specific replication of this real subject. So, like for example, here is shapes, the circles. Wala naman siya talagang actual, nakakatulad, something like that. Ano po? They do not represent anything and they are what they are. Yung meaning nila, yung purpose nila, yung subject na meron sila, iisa lang. Pagdating sa non-representational, naka-stick and kung ano yung una mong nakita, yun lang sila. Yun lang yung purpose nila. Kaya sila ganun klaseng art. And they rather appeal directly to the senses primarily because of the satisfying organization of their senses and expressive elements. So, like for example, this. So, there's no such a subject na makikita mo na magpapakita ng isang specific na pangyayari, something like that. Ano po? Like for example, this one. Another example here is the op art. If you're already familiar with op art, ano po? So, those are an example of non-representational or non-objective art. So, another part is we are done with the subject of the art. So, sa ulitin ko po, when we see subject, it is serve as a foundation of the creation of the work of art. So, ito yung pinakang kinakailangan or pinakang unang requirement kapag gagawa ng isang artwork, like something like that. Okay, so functions of art, we have four main functions. Sa four main functions na to, ito yung mga uh, kahalagahan or meron ng tinataglay ng isang artwork. We have first the utilitarianism function. So when we say utilitarianism function, with the creation of various forms of art, man now lives in a comfort and happiness. Through art, man is provided with shelter, clothing, food, light, medicine, beautiful surroundings, personal ornaments, ornamentals, entertainment, language, transportation, and other necessities and conveniences of life. So when we say utilitarianism function of art, ito po yung mga artworks na which is usually ginagamit natin in our daily life. So like for example, bahay, damit natin, yung design na yan is also part of the art. So like for example, this one, yung tasa. Kapag sinabing utilitarianism function, ang function nitong specific artwork na ito is to become part of everyday living of a specific character or specific group of characters of a person, of the people, something like that. So, kumbaga, ang function nila ay maging gamit natin sa pang-araw-araw na buhay. And then, another function, we have the aesthetic function. This is a kind of art or through art, man becomes conscious of the beauty of the nature. So, it involves the feeling. Ano po? Okay, so through aesthetic function, man's benefited from his own work and from those done by his fellow men. So, kumbaga, may satisfaction tayong nakukuha. So, like for example, there's a personality, napapansin niyo po, na they are imaginative pagdating sa mga nakikita nila mga artworks. May mga tao din naman na they are very involved. They are always involved themselves pagdating sa kahalagahan po ng bawat artworks. And at the same time, sa aesthetic functions kasi it talks about the feelings that involved of the artist to his works, yung feelings and communication na nare-receive is aesthetic function po yun nung artwork na yun. Paintings, sculpture, so for example, Pieta, ano ba yung meaning nito? Aesthetic function kasi we are going to talk about the meaning of that specific artwork. Okay, so like for example, this one. Representation po ng mythologies. Ano po? And another function, we have the social function. So dito, through civic and graphic arts, man learns to love and help each other. So dito, sa social function na to, international understanding and cooperation are fostered, and nations become more unified, friendly, cooperative, helpful, and sympathetic. So, it is a kind of artwork na magpapakita ng cooperation. So, kumbaga, through this kind of artworks, nagkakaroon ng communication na kung saan every viewer will catch up an idea on how they are going to help each others. So, like for example, this one, or kasi parang representation na lang social function sa, like for example, caricature, o kaya yung mga propaganda artwork. So, doon, mapapakita po yung kung paano nangyayari or something depicting happens in the real situation of a society. Like, for example, political caricatures. Those are the social artworks, or ang function nila is social functions. Another is, for example, this one. And the last function of the art is the so-called cultural function. So when we say cultural function, it is an artwork or function through the printed matter. Art transmit and preserve skills and knowledge from one generation to another. So these are the artworks naman, or arts na kung saan ang pinakang purpose niya or pinakang function niya is to preserve a specific culture para sa ganun, sa susunod na generation, sa mga susunod na generation, they already have an idea kung ano ba talaga yung, what do you call this, nangyari from the previous generation. So like for example, cultural function, cave paintings. So matatawag natin siyang cultural function kasi it depicts of what was happened before from our ancestors. Unlike nung mga paintings na, even the paintings today can be one of the primary source or can be a sources of knowledge that the next generation can use para malaman nila kung anong klaseng pamumuhay meron tayo sa panahon natin. And then they can adapt it maybe, or if that is a kind of negative, so they can avoid something like that. Ano po? Okay, so like for example, this one, depicting siya ng pangyayari during the sa Egypt, something like that. Cave paintings is also one of the example of this cultural function. So dito, like for example, yung mga paintings na nakikita natin ng katutubo, or even if you still remember the spolarium of Juan Luna, it is also a kind of painting that has a cultural function. It depicts the what was happened under the Spanish colonization. Ano po? And another part of the topic is the scope of art. So when we say scope, ito po yung saklaw pagdating sa pag-aaral ng art. Okay, so we have scope of art. So dito, we are going to talk about the various authors that classify arts in different ways. So, may mga iba't ibang tao na nagbigay ng kanilang iba't ibang suggestions or ano yung tingin nila na saklaw ng art. So, according to our first author, Manoesis, he described the art in two general dimensions. So, namely, una, we have daw ang tinatawag na independent arts or yung mga tinatawag nating fine arts. Pangalawang uri po ng art is practical arts o yung useful and utilitarian arts. So when we say fine arts, It is primarily for aesthetic, made primarily for aesthetic enjoyment through the senses, especially visual and auditory. So like for example, pag sinabi nating um, fine arts, it talks about the pinaka-example kasi nitong fine arts na ito is music, painting, sculpture, architecture, literature, dancing, and drama. So, those are example of fine arts. Kumbaga, they are for enjoyment or aesthetic enjoyment. So, sabi ko nga sa inyo, when si aesthetic, it involves our feelings. And another is the practical art. So sa practical art naman, it was intended for practical use or utility. It is the development of raw materials for utilitarian purposes. So basically, pag sinabi nating practical arts, these are the arts which is very useful pagdating sa ating parang yung utilitarianism function na kumbaga it is very useful in everyday life of a specific character or or maybe a person or the society itself. So meron tayong tinatawag na industrial art, applied or household art, ano yung mga ginagamit natin sa bahay, the civic art, commercial art, graphic art, agricultural art, business art, distributive art, and fishery art. So those are the example of practical art. So it involves our everyday life. Ano po yung mga ginagamit o yung mga professionals natin. Those are the example of practical arts. We also have another author which is Custodiosa Sanchez. According to Custodiosa, art is consist of visual arts, literature, drama, theater, music, and also dance. So according to her, when we say visual art, this is what we perceive with our eyes. So they may be classified into two groups wherein ito yung tinatawag nating graphic arts una. Under the graphic arts and also pangalawa, the plastic arts. Okay. So when we say graphic arts kasi, it is dealt with the painting, drawing, photography, graphic process, which is also yung pagpiprint po ng mga ginagamit natin. Even books is an example of the graphic art. Commercial art, so like for example, sa commercial arts naman, if you're familiar with designing, advertising, signages, or designs, like for example, yung mga road signages natin, posters, and other displays, is part of the graphic arts na tinatawag. When we say plastic art naman, this include a field of visual art for which materials are organized in three-dimensional forms. Like for example, structural architecture, landscape architecture, ano po, and then city physical planning and interior arranging. So like for example, yung design of wallpaper, the furnitures, and even sculpture, industrial designs, the dress and costumes that we're using, and the theater designing is part of the plastic art. That is according to Custodia Sanchez. So another author, we have the definition came from Josefina Estolas. So according to Josefina Estolas, dito, he grouped the art or the scope of art into two groups, which is the major and the minor arts. So when we say major arts, it involves this include the paintings, architecture, sculpture, and also the literature and music and dance. So that is the major arts. So when we say minor arts naman daw, ito naman na yung tinatawag natin na decorative arts, popular arts, graphic arts, plastic arts, and industrial arts. And another definition or another author, or same author rather, according to Sanchez, he also grouped the arts into visual arts. So when we say visual art, so pinaka-example niya sa visual art is graphic arts and plastic art. Kasi nga daw, it is something that we perceive with our eyes. So that is the visual arts. Kaya visual. Performing arts naman, so this include the theater, the plays, the role play, something like that, the dance and music. Anything that is performed is considered as performing arts. Ano po? And literary art. So dito na papasok yung short stories, yung novels, yung poetry, and then drama scripts is also part of the literary arts. And when we say popular arts naman, it is what we have today in our generation or very popular pagdating sa ating modern society, which is the film, newspapers, magazines, radios, ano po, and then televisions, advertising is also part of the so-called popular arts. And another thing is the gustatory art of kissing. So dito, um, he involved that the gustatory art of cuisine naman is yung food preparation. So, yung ginagawa nating platings o yung makakapanood kayo sa mga documentaries or YouTube's channels and at the same time, some videos on Facebook, ito yung inaano nila. They consider that those are kind of gustatory art of cuisine, which is involved more on beverages preparation. So, yun yung tawag dun sa ganong klaseng art. And then, decorative arts or the applied arts. So, ito naman po yung klase ng art na kung saan it involves the nature, which is like, for example, the beautification of house, offices, cars, and landscape. So, dito yung papasok sa decorative arts or applied arts. Another definition or another description is came from Panizo and Ruscha. So they classify arts into two major division, which is yung tinatawag po natin na according to purpose and according to media form. So let's now have first the according to purpose. So according to purpose, we have the practical or useful arts. If you analyze the every halos nagkakahawig-hawig lang sila sa mga definitions nila. So, moving on, when we say practical or useful arts, according to Panizo and Ruscha, they are directed to produce artifacts and utensils for the satisfaction of human needs. These are the artworks or arts that is very useful in our daily lives. Their function is to serve as part of our daily living or part of our everyday life. And then we have the liberal arts. So this is a kind of directed toward intellectual growth, such as the study of philosophy, psychology, literature, mathematics, and sciences. And even mathematics is considered part of the art, and that is belong to liberal art, which is according to purpose under the definition of Paniso and Ruscha. We also have the so-called fine arts. Sa fine arts naman, it is focused towards on creative activity for the contemplations of the mind and uplift of the spirit. So like for example, paintings, sculpture, architecture. Also, ito na yung mga artworks natin na made of or inputting colors, ano po, something like that. And according to Panis Cha, according to purpose, they also have the major arts. So major arts, it is characterized by actual and potential expressiveness such as music, poetry, and sculpture. So dito sa major art, mas makikita mo yung pinakang directive meaning of this specific art na kumbaga merong communication na binibigay. And when we say minor arts naman, concerned naman ito sa practical uses and purposes that is such as interior decoration or porcelain arts. So, yung mga designs natin sa mga baso is an example of minor arts. Another is the according to media and forms. So, according to him, we have the so-called plastic arts. Sa plastic arts, these are the developed through space and perceived by the sense of sight. Such art include sculpture and decorative materials. And when we say kinetic arts naman, it involves an element of rhythm. So there's an example of dancing or music. We also have phonetic arts, which is towards sounds, words as media of expression, example, music, drama, and literature. So made up of sounds when we say phonetic arts. And then pure arts. So pure arts, it take only one medium expression, like sound and music, color and paintings. Sa pure arts, yung pinakang medium na ginagamit pagdating dun sa paggawa ng specific art. Ano po. And then, another is the mixed art. So mixed art, it takes more than one medium, such as the opera, which combines music, poetry, and drama. So those are the scope of art that give from different personality or authors according to their studies. Okay, so that is the last topic that we're going to talk about in the introduction of the art appreciation subject. So I hope you learned something, and this will be the end of my presentation and discussion about the art appreciation. So that would be all for this discussion. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.